Oh, 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 it's your best you with Crystal. Yay! Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. Kathleen Fennedy, and this is Your Best You. Welcome. Come on in. I'm with my co-host, Joan Kazmarzik. Hi, Joan.
Hey, it's Reverend Dr. Kathleen Fennedy.
Yeah. You can call me Reverend Dr. Kat. Joan's going, hi, that's a little roll off my tongue. She has never used that phrase. She doesn't, But yeah, I basically say, call me Reverend Dr. Kat. You don't have to do the whole name. And actually, right now, I'm signing a lot of my artwork RDK, just because I can, watermark my work, and that way, when people are taking it, at least, unless they put a blob over it, who knows what people are doing?
True.
There's so much plagiarism going on right now. Anyway, so I see, said the plagiarist.
Yes, I see something here. How
That I want, and it looks good, and I can't make it, so I'm going to take it. That's what a plagiarist does. So we don't want to, we don't want to be a plagiaristic society, but the portal we're in allows for a lot of freedom of things to be taken very easily. And all artists try to protect their work, but it's an open highway out there right now.
That's true.
So, but yes, so this is Chakra 6, and now we're actually in episode 60 in the fall season at Nutmeg TV in the year of 2022. And we were talking about in the last show, perception, the anja, the third eye, going into the sight, seeing, insight.
And how things have changed. Society has changed its perception on things, sometimes radically, as you were saying about the perceptions of beauty.
Okay, but are you saying that it's society that's changed its perception, or is it the wheels that run society that's kind of saying,
I think it's the wheels.
this is what you're going to believe.
Yeah.
All people who got vaccines are good people. All people who didn't get vaccines are bad people. All people who are fat are lazy. All people who are skinny are beautiful. All people who, you know what I'm saying? You can just roll it out, because coffee is good for you, coffee is bad for you. Wait a second, I thought coffee is bad for you. But now coffee is good for you.
Yeah.
See,
Eggs are good for you, eggs are bad for you.
Who controls that? A very small few.
Right.
And the ones who control the food and the water control the population. I've talked about that in earlier shows from Chakra 1, where you have the emperors, and they've been able to access the food system, and they've got all the food in their warehouse, and they give it out to the poor. They dole it out to the people. And so, we have a new system that's starting to develop where the food is being really controlled, and a lot of concepts are changing and flipping very rapidly. And as I said, what happens is a kind of a vertigo, a dizziness begins to occur. And because there's been so much
shifting,
really radically opposite perspectives.
Yeah.
This is no longer just garlic, Johnny. This is you know what I'm saying? It's not just garlic. No, the garlic is good. The potato is bad. No, the potato is good. The garlic is bad. The garlic is a potato. No, the potato is a garlic. So when you dizzy the mind, that it can't anchor to anything, because I talked to you about how we anchor to a concept. That's how we create patterns of perceptions throughout civilization. Peace. Okay, right. Or a symbol can change. It could be one thing in a culture, but then it can be assimilated, co-opted, and turned into something evil. I would use the Hitler symbol.
Yeah.
Okay, that was one that was really flipped. Okay, so we're constantly doing that. What happens to the ones that are being powered by that? No matter how grounded. A lot of people say, "Well, I'm just going to ground in my job." Well, your job's been taken away. You can't ground in that. Okay. Well, that's okay. I'll ground in my family. Your spouse died. Now you don't have a job and you don't have a family. Forget that. Now, well, I'll ground in my house. Well, you can't pay for your house now because you don't have a job. So it's the cycle of this kind of, and then there are the very few that are very wealthy, but they get affected in different ways. They got their wealth a certain way, and then when they find out how they got their wealth, they jump out a window. We just had that happen with the bed and bath executive, right?
Yes, I saw that.
So it's this very interesting flipping around. So the ability to be really grounded in yourself, connected with the crown chakra to your God. And I had something here. Where was it? Virgil. I thought I had it. A quote. And I said, Virgil might have been correct, because Virgil said, we make our decisions by our choice of gods. What religion are you? That's your God, right?
Yeah.
So that culture of that particular religion is going to define how you make your decisions.
Yeah. True. Yeah, because it's like, well, what would, yes.
Well, I'm a reverend, but I'm a multi-faith, so I cover all of them with the Universal Life Church, though I studied, and I have 2 ministry degrees, a Master's of Divinity and a Master's of Theology from Princeton Theological Seminary, and my doctorate's in medical humanities, and I did chaplaincy work and different things like that then. But, I'm just saying, now, at the stage that I am and where I am in my growth, I represent, and I'm a reverend for the Universal Life Church, and we encompass all. But it's like Virgil's saying, what one you hold to, your gods, determines how you see things.
Yeah.
Like,
and of course that goes into, is it, like the Jewish faith, and they have their set of shall we say rituals?
Or pagan,
or pagan,
Greek Orthodox, or Catholic,
even go back to
or
Norse,
born again Christian, or pagan, or
like I said, even if you go back further
Wicca,
or the Norse gods.
There's so many
There's so
natural
many.
religions.
Yeah.
We have, and believe me, I cover them all. So what it is that what happens is that, like Virgil said, and I was saying earlier, we're programmed, and religion, as Karl Marx said, was the opiate of the masses. Okay, total opiate. And
Keeps them in check.
well, it keeps you quiet, and you're not going to you're not going to disobey
No.
the social, spiritual, culture, collective culture of the society.
True.
If you did, you would be persecuted.
Yeah.
Because we've used the religions as a persecution for throughout time. If you all don't believe in our God, then you're all going to hell. Okay? You're no longer a good piece of garlic. You're a bad potato. But wait a second. I thought all who believed this religion were good. Well, we changed it. Off with your head.
Yeah.
Okay. I make fun of us because it's the way to process what Shakespeare would call, the comedy and the tragedy
Yeah.
of the human.
Yeah.
And we're all human. So, the ability to be able to laugh, don't self-deprecate to the point where you destroy your self-value, and don't allow other people to make fun of you. There's a difference between self-humor and then somebody else, using you as the laughing pole. It's no different than a stockade, So, you want humor, you can go to a humor festival. They have comics, but even every comic knows it's a fine line for comics. Ask Robin Williams. They walk a very thin line between tragedy and comedy, because it's a thin line. Just like genius is a thin line between genius and insanity. So we walk these kind of thin lines in life, And we have to keep our balance, like we're on a balancing beam.
Yeah.
And then life comes along and it starts doing different things. And the evolutionary nature of being resilient and capable of being able to adapt is part of the human composite, that we have that capacity.
Yeah.
But as we become more and more programmed and more, I guess, poisoned is what I would say. Because what happens, once you're not eating the foods, the microbial life that's in you dies. And that's your messenger guys that go around and nourish everything, including your brain. They send the messages everywhere. So once the food is poisoned, which is what's happened with our culture, because we became so happy about being free, and we started using microwaves and, aluminum, dinners in the oven, and, Hungry Man's, and none of this is healthy food. I mean, I'm not saying it's not food, it will fill you up, but it's not the nourishing, vital, life-giving force food. So now what they're doing is, we're doing all these fecal. Oh yeah, I've already said 27 feet, everything's in there. Everything's in that place. And they used to go in and just cut it out and put a bag on your side. But now they're like, hey, maybe we can fix it. Well, yeah, of course you can. You gotta change the inside. So now they have pills, of fecal pills and things like that, because they gotta get some good fecal into people, because they have no fecal matter. Why do they have no fecal matter? Because they've been eating processed pesticide, herbicide. There's no life force left in the food. I'm not saying it doesn't have calories. And maybe they shoved some vitamin D in it. I don't know, guys. But they're going after the food, and they're going after the food chain. And there are certain individuals that are of the highest elite that control the food chain already. And so, I've talked to Soylent Green, and everybody's like, oh, Kat, Soylent Green, but we're really Soylent Green with soy, and half the food in our culture is now packed with soy, which isn't really healthy, and corn, which isn't really healthy. And these products and the modified oils, which are really, really toxic for the body. Once that toxicity starts to develop and everything backs up, you're not processing, you just start going, wider, and the brain starts dumbing down, and the dementia and everything is all connected, but it requires a self-awareness and the ability to step out of that and go, you know what, I'm not going to keep doing that to myself anymore. I value myself more, and if I have to eat only organic potatoes until I can get whatever I need to get, I'm going to just eat organic potatoes. Duh, that's what I did. Okay, so because it's better to eat the organic potatoes than to eat the can of, I don't want to name anything because, lawsuits, but it's all out there. It doesn't need a name. It's all the same industry. If you narrow it down, you'll find out who owns the food. Oh, this group, and that group. All of it? Yeah, pretty much. And then who owns those groups? That one up there? Oh.
It's funny because they actually had a show on the History Channel about the how the food companies, how different places started different things, and how they basically got bought out.
Oh yeah, everything gets bought out
by conglomerates.
The power of the ones who have the money and in control will wipe out the farmers. We've been through this before. This is not anything new, but like what we were doing with COVID, we just want to forget it and get back to work. Come on now, what do you mean you don't want to work for a dime anymore? Forget about waking up. Forget about what your perception is. We're gonna tell you now that this potato is a garlic, and you're either gonna agree or off with your head. We'll make everybody believe that you're a not good person, because we're gonna write articles, and we're gonna put it in the programming, on the commercials, and we're gonna put these little innuendos and subtle messages. You won't even know what hit you. It's all being programmed without you even knowing. Just like a kid in front of a little show on the TV when they're 1 or 2. They're eating it, but they don't know what they're eating. The beginning of wisdom is the ability to recognize the patterns. Remember, I told you gotta be able to connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't connect the dots, you're not wise. You have to be able to connect the dots. A to B to C. Oh, the source is A, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to be wise about this. We just want it to go away and get back. And no wisdom. Obey it. He retired. Who? Batman. He retired. I'm very diplomatic, but those who know me know exactly what I'm talking about. He went to his bat cave. Man of the year. All right, all the patterns and the signs are there, so you can see them, but you refuse to see them. You say,
Yeah.
Okay, you knew he was cheating. You saw every single pattern, right? You know it. You could connect them. I don't see them. No, that's not happening, right? No, go back to sleep. It's okay. Lord, I can't hear you. I said go back to sleep. I can't hear you. I woke up. My eyes are really wide. I can see everything. Shh.
Go back to sleep.
We'll have you down on one groveling soon. Don't worry. I'm just letting you know from a cultural perspective, okay? All the signs are there. And the demon is your illusion, No. They would never do that to me. They love me. They have my best interest at heart. They're there to heal me. They're going to make me better. I know I wouldn't be able to do it without them because, they love me and they're doing what's best for me. Well, I'm like, you do what's best for you. You make the decisions. If you allow the system to make your decisions, you've been lulled into the lullaby again.
Yeah.
And you didn't wake up. Or maybe you woke up and you're like, you know what? This is way too much for me. I'm too scared. It was so much more comfortable for me because you don't grow unless you're challenged. You're not going to grow. Even muscles atrophy if you don't challenge them. The brain's going to dwindle away. No, but they needed rocket scientists to do studies to let you know this, but really you know this. And if you eat bad food, you don't think well, you don't go to the bathroom well, and all that's connected. And you're just blubbing around, wondering why you're in a bad mood, and you're not all upbeat. I had carrot juice, beet, garlic, celery, pear, and green apple all mixed up together for my breakfast this morning. And yeah, it's a pain because you have to budget for it, and then you got this big loud machine, and you got to clean it, and it's a lot of work. I agree, but vital life to life. Well, I'd rather just have my Metamucil. Oh, well, okay, or whatever it is that you're having. I'm not calling out any one of them because they're all the same to me. Big pharma's big pharma. Probably owned by the same person. But when I say about programming and records and talking, I couldn't help but think about, the Akashic Records. I keep going back to the Akashic Records, and it's this library that contains this, it's a permanent record. It's our permanent record of us and our incarnations. I know this is a tough one because we're like, wait a second, that's not my perception. That's been lulled away, like Atlantis. That was all made so you didn't even believe that existed. It's all myth.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing the same thing with the Holocaust. It never happened. They did the same thing, tried to do with Sandy Hook. It never happened. We can do that just like we can call a potato a garlic and a garlic potato and put it up on the media forums and feed it through everything. And next thing you know, suddenly this potato is a garlic. And because, how did that happen? I don't know, I'm too dizzy. It was before I thought it was this, and masks on, masks off, this, that, who knows?
Yeah.
But it goes on and on. So when we tell everybody it's a myth, then there's no truth or anything that we can hold on to and say, well, wait a second. Maybe there's some truth to this. Should we look at it? No, let's just forget that. The researchers are taking care of it. You just go back to sleep, everything's fine. We have to research this. I know, well, but if I'm coming and giving a narrative to you, as a medical narrative for, medical humanities, would say, don't the narratives of all the human being and their stories count? No, as a matter of fact, if you had a reaction to that vaccine, we really don't want to hear about it. Because we're not talking about that right now. We just want everybody to get in line and get it.
And boosters.
And now we don't have enough, and it only lasts for a certain amount of time, and now you have to go back, and it really only lasts for about 5 months, but you're not gonna die, but well, maybe you will, because some people die from the vaccines, and I'm like, guys, just shh, and begin to connect the dots. If you're an adult, obviously if you're a child, you're dependent upon these adults, for all the adults that have the children around them. And then you send them off to school and you expect the teachers. I'm like, what? Oh, I just gave him 400 Ritalin. You should be fine. So that's a name. Lemuria. And like Atlantis, it's these kind of lost civilizations. And throughout time, Machu Picchu, start naming them. We know that there's so many of these places that existed, and they say they didn't really exist. Oh, come on now. Obviously, we can tell from the instruments we have, we're able to unearth all this stuff. You can't tell me it didn't exist.
Yep. What they can't figure out is, where did they go?
Well, that's a whole other thing, and that could be karma, and that could be, hey, civilization not doing well. Okay, we're moving this away, and that's taking into consideration that there's a higher power that's in control of everything, and that's observant, and that may even have originally programmed, or there's a lot to it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't want to get into all that, because I talk about personal responsibility, and I give the framework of the history as a wake-up call.
Yeah.
An awakening, a catalytic, Reverend Dr. Cat, the catalyst, I'll come in and, hey, and everybody's like, yeah, that's a good plan, because, I'm a leader, and so I lead people all different ways. But if somebody says to me, hey, I want you to follow this plan, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, you know what? That is not a plan that I'm going to be able to follow, because in my wisdom, well, you just have to trust us. Why?
Yeah.
Well, because we say so. Yeah, but who are you to tell me? And that's an individual that is challenged in a society, believe me. You're just supposed to be quiet and get in. And I'm like, well, that was back in the 50s when they had me in an apron and, barefoot, and you don't talk. Like, there was a time when children didn't talk either, and boy, do we let children talk now. But we have to be able to unify in order for us to be able to say no more. And then if they take your food away and they take your job away, which is what they do.
Yeah.
And then you have nothing to fight, because you're like the Irish, my history. The British wouldn't feed us. They let us starve to death. We were not allowed even to speak our languages, let alone collect seaweed at the shore. We would be dead. We couldn't even dance. That's why the Irish dance below, so from the top you can't see nothing. But the Irish, we've been through a lot. Most don't talk about what happened to the Irish, the coffin ships and all that. But I'll share some of that at another time. But what I'm trying to share on the broadest scope possible, and I'm sure you have some stories too from your heritage. When you start thinking about it, you go, you know what, that Reverend Dr. Cat does have a lot to say about that. And I got a little awakened. I got a little rattled, maybe even. That's okay. You get a little rattle in your bones, your muscles will grow stronger. I don't know, you'll be okay. Don't worry about it. But what I do want you to do is to start to realize that you're the most important person in your world, and you only have a certain amount of time. And if we are coming through incarnations, that means that every time we're going through something because of something before. And there's a development of us in our consciousness, whether it's collective, individual, or cultural. It's all homogenized and assimilated into what we now have is this kind of machine. And we've got an artificial intelligence that's capable of being conscious. Hello. So, you know, here we are. Welcome to the brave new world. And you have to be able to stand up for yourself, and in love and light, and not like a bully, like the woman I told you in the other show, who teaches her children to bully the girl who bullied because her parent taught her to bully. Children don't know anything until we give it to them, and we're giving it to them in all different ways. So there's accountability and a responsibility for that, and that comes to the parents, not to the teachers in the school. So, and the parents are like, I don't have any time. I'm working. You know, it's kind of funny, isn't it? But anyway, so, you know, that's the cycle that we're in. And at a certain point, humans are getting messy, so artificial intelligence and robots are easy takeovers. And they have no emotions, and they don't have any chakras, and they don't have any incarnations. It's just a piece of equipment that's been programmed.
Yeah.
It doesn't have messy organs. It doesn't have to eat or go to the bathroom. It's really easy to deal with that when you're a very wealthy person and you don't like these people who are rioting and coming up with obstructions to your comfort. I love you guys. That's perception stuff.